What is up, guys? I'm excited for this. I wanted to come on here, kind of share my story, kind of give you guys vision, background, where I'm at now and where I'm headed, and just give you a little context to who Dylan is and who Dylan was and who Dylan looks forward to continuing growing into and becoming. So let's dive in. So for me, basketball background, was born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama, area where, I played basketball all the way from dad coaching me to, middle school, where, middle school was actually some challenging times where I didn't hardly play at all. I rode the bench, but the people in front of me were some of the most elite group of basketball players in the whole city. So playing behind them gave me some experience, but also gave me some grit, some determination to really try to push through and just be patient. So as far as that goes, going from 8th grade to 9th grade, I ended up, trying out for the freshman team. But before that, Dad and I just got after it. That summer, 8th grade going into 9th grade, we would run down to the local outdoor court. It was hot. We were doing, suicides. We were doing, all kinds of shooting drills and getting reps in. A trainer, and this is middle school, right? I wanted to take it serious. I wanted to dive in. I was doing basketball, or I was doing baseball. I was doing football. I was doing other sports, but I really wanted to start focusing in on basketball. I grew 4 inches over the summer. So going into freshman year, ended up doing really well and having some acceleration. Ended up starting on the freshman year, and then all the way to speeding up to my junior year of college. That'll take us to the top left corner of the picture. So had an amazing experience. First game of the year in my junior year. The news was there. The stands were packed. So I was able to first play of the game. I was subbed in, and they threw it to me on a fast break, and I caught the ball, dunked it. So hanging my tongue out like Jordan right there, which is great. All throughout high school, great career there. Senior year, started getting some eyes on me from basketball, and then from there got a full ride scholarship to play in Mobile, Alabama, where I played 4 years on a full ride, and that was amazing. Met my wife Emily there, and just had a great time, just continuing to grow, develop as a man, and as an opportunity to be a college athlete. Of course, there was a grind there. Had hours and hours spent, of course, on the court, in the gym, in the weight room, film sessions. But on top of that, being a college athlete and being a student athlete. So, basically the rhythm was wake up, breakfast, class, test, all that, down back into weights, film session, and then practice. So that was probably a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. rhythm, and that was daily. And then, of course, the days we had game, constant grind. So with that, got an opportunity to play overseas in New Zealand and Puerto Rico, and this was 2 short tours. Like I said, New Zealand and Puerto Rico. You can see all 3 of these pictures that says AIA actually is an organization, Athletes in Action. So what we did is coaches from all across the country, they would select elite players from all across the United States, and then we would take that team, we would go to a training camp, and then we would go and play overseas against pro teams. And the opportunity there was to use basketball as a platform to grow, to develop, and build community in those areas. And so we did some community service projects, we did some community outreach, played basketball in a prison, which was a crazy experience against some inmates, and just tons of memories and stories there, but got to play some incredible talent and had an awesome experience. So let's go on to the next slide. So preparation, pivoting is the key to any transition. If you aren't prepared to pivot, we aren't able to shift into alignment with where we are called to go. So going into this next slide, this is really where the challenges started hitting post-basketball. So we'll dive into that, and there's some interesting pictures here. So the challenging season, man, I had a mental health diagnosis outside of college, was some very dark and challenging seasons. Immediately got into the role of, just taking care of myself, right? And I went back home right out of college, got engaged to my wife. I moved back home to Huntsville, during the engagement time frame for about 6 months. Like I said, got diagnosed. That mental health diagnosis was it was a dark and challenging season. So ended up moving to Georgia, where, I had a couple job opportunities there. I'm just trying to find my way, right? And then, kind of fast forward from Georgia to Florida, we moved back to Florida to support my father-in-law who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So the transition back there was very tough. I had to take care of family and take care of myself. So as you can see, gained probably 70 pounds. Was very overweight, very just depressed and in the darkness and trying to figure out who I was. My identity was lost. And I was trying to rediscover that identity and who I was. So went through about 7 jobs in 7 months, maybe even a year. Just a grind and just trying to be and to persevere. So this season, like living in the backyard of my mother-in-law's house, $400 was kind of bills, and we could barely pay that. So, just a crazy season, man. So, a little bit of adversity there, taking us into the next thing. Environment is everything, right? When we expand to an environment that aligns with our values, we then are able to experience exponential growth. You think of a lion in a cage versus a lion in a jungle. You can't put a lion in a cage. Environment is everything, right? Another analogy is you can't put a shark in a fish tank. It only grows to a certain point and it's outgrown its environment. So continuing to grow and be environments of where you can grow and expand and be the best version of yourself. Ownership. To me, ownership is the first step to leadership is ownership. Taking the responsibility to care for something, manage it, control it, and handling it as your own. So going into kind of this new season, this shift, this transition, I got invited to this conference in New Orleans. Wifey and I probably had about $200 in the bank account. And so my wife was like, hey, I trust you. I told her I feel like I'm called to go to this conference. I feel like this pull, and for whatever reason. So I got a free ticket from my buddy Andy V, and made a connection there with a guy running the event, and made it to the event. Went from pretty much Pensacola, Florida to New Orleans, and doing that drive, I just felt like a peace about it. I didn't know really why. With $200 in the bank, I'm like, what the heck? So went to this conference, man, and I get there, ton of energy, ton of excitement, ton of passion, meeting amazing people, and there's this one guy who comes on stage, and this is the guy on the left and on the right picture. His name's Coach Michael Burt, and I'd gone pro in basketball, so I really felt like sitting there at the table listening to this guy speak, and I was like, he's a former basketball coach, now a business coach, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I had an exercise science background, minor in business. I thought I wanted to be a basketball trainer and own my own academy and my own gym. But I felt like God was kind of shifting things and saying, hey, dude, it's time to go pro in business and serve business owners. So from this point forward, things kind of accelerated. Met Clayton, a guy named Clayton, there at the conference. Called ourselves the Twin Towers. Great connection, helped me in the real estate world and kind of developing there. But the key story I want to share in this is leaving the conference. So as you know, I had $200 in the bank account, and the challenge was like, all right, like I had $200 on that trip. So the hotel was $200, and so I didn't have any food. So my dad actually came down on a train from Huntsville, Alabama, and stayed with me, got me food, and basically supported me on this journey, which is a really special moment. But a conference wrapped up. Again, amazing connections, fired up, passionate, signed up for Coach Bert's mentorship when I didn't have anything. He trusted me, and I kind of, went on a limb from there. But I was in the lobby of this hotel, checked out, and I was like, Lord, I don't know how I'm getting home. And it turns out, as I'm on the phone with my wife, almost in tears, like, hey, I don't know how I'm getting home, I got a tap on the shoulder, and this guy said, hey, I want to bless you with this. And it was $20, just enough gas money to get home. And from there, a lot of things shifted. Got into business, and I'll kind of just preface with this. Decide means to kill off. The moment we decide to kill off the past in the moment is the moment when everything changes. When we kill off the past, our past will then fuel our future. So I made a decision, right? To kill off my past, to kill off the depression, the anxiety, the darkness, the new identity from ball to business. And so taking that on, I met amazing connections. This guy on the left, Josiah, he's the owner of New Reach Education. So right after that conference, I got an Instagram message, and this time, like, it was probably about a week after the conference. I was like praying through, like, I don't know what to do, all this motivation, this passion. I kind of want to get into real estate, but I don't want to be a realtor. Kind of want to get in the investing side of things. And so I get a message. One of my dear friends, John Cardis, is pretty much a brother now, but he messaged me on Instagram randomly, didn't know him at the time. And it said, hey, like I cross-referenced you through a couple people on Instagram. You popped up. I'm looking to start a sales team and lift off this new brand on real estate investing education. Crazy timing. And that was at night. So literally just we were living in the backyard of my mother-in-law's house in this kind of trailer apartment kind of thing. No service in there, so I literally ran out the door. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I went to go get some service across the street from, at my mother-in-law's house using her Wi-Fi, and messaged him back and said, hey dude, like, I would love to hear more. So we scheduled a call for the next day, hopped on a call, and yeah, it was just it was an incredible conversation. I felt passionate. I felt like this was at home, or this was home for me in my new career in sales. So I had probably done sales previously for 3-4 years, probably two or 3 years. In the midst of that, doing some entrepreneurship stuff, different ventures. But this was like the first time that I really felt fulfilled and really felt aligned with this decision, and felt like God was all over it. So yeah, Josiah on the left here, New Reach Education CEO. Big vision for education online, and that's when really my career lifted off. Started making 6 figures, doing really well, and this was in Pensacola, Florida, still working remote. And then I had the heart to go to the headquarters here in Arizona. And notice I said here in Arizona, so we live here now. But I had just the time to come out here, visit with some coworkers, some buddies. John was there too, and we just had an amazing time. But as I landed here in Arizona, I kid you not, I felt the peace of God just saying, hey, like, I'm calling you to move here. I was like, no way. But it was a call to move out here. And a little bit of backstory there, like, as soon as I landed here, obviously I had some peace there, felt the calling, told my guys, like, dude, I feel like I'm called to move here. And they're like, bro, you've lost your mind. What are you talking about? And so I went back home after the trip, got home to wifey, and I was like, hey, Em, I'm super excited. I really feel like God's calling us to move to Arizona. She's like, you've lost your mind. So, but that was, let's see, that was October. November, fast forward to November, there was a cool opportunity that I got invited to a mastermind, which is actually with Coach Bert. Is at his lodge in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I made it to the conference there. And at that conference, it was like a mastermind of like 10 people. Literally probably 7 out of the 10 people were from Scottsdale, Arizona, which is where pretty much headquarters is for New Reach education. So just incredible experience. Met our realtor there, met my wife's future boss there, and some cool business connections as well. And so we're like, all right, this is crazy. Like, I really feel like there's some peace on this. Like, this is when my wife's starting to get on board. So she's like, all right, let's go check it out. So December, the next month, we go to a Christmas party. And this was at headquarters here in AZ for New Reach. And it was just like an incredible experience. My wife, as soon as we landed, kind of like the same thing I had experienced. Like, she was like 3 or 4 hours in, like, hey, I feel like God's calling us to move here. So kind of fast forward from there, again, a guy named Carlos Reyes, Ken Jocelyn, a great mentor of mine, and then Pace in the tan jacket. He was kind of the mentor and who I was serving on the education platform. So did that for about 4.5 years, up until, takes us kind of where we're at today. So this is top left, amazing. Just this new season, this new opportunity that I feel like I've been blessed with, and stewarding it well, and just celebrating life and enjoying life and have joy in my life. Great friends, great connections. My beautiful bride and I, super happy and joyful in this new opportunity, this new environment. Had a hole in one. When I moved out here, just amazing golf out here, of course, but hit a hole in one, 181 yards out for my golfers, and just a crazy experience. Had opportunities to speak on stage, again, amazing connections. I think that's kind of a heart and the core of my story, but ultimately, guys, I'm excited to grow with you guys. This is just kind of a scratching the surface in the beginning, but I had to start with my story. And without, me sharing my story, I don't know, what the purpose of this is without me sharing my story. So, excited, and just looking forward to growing you guys. So that being said, let's grow.